Oh, American made. Yeah. So in the apparel and footwear industry, athletic industry that I came from, everything is made overseas. And that's because everything is sewn, which is very labor intensive. It's armies of people sitting at sewing machines, sewing the vamps on your shoes or sewing your
Mhm.
running jacket. And so it can be very difficult to produce those types of products in the United States. It's true. And that's just because of labor costs. And of course, there are other costs of producing in Asia. You have to ship everything here. So there's longer lead times. You have
Yeah.
to place orders earlier. You're taking more inventory risk. You've got to clear customs. You've got to pay duties. But those things don't offset the cost savings in labor. So, but somewhere along the way, the model appears in the pet industry seems to be that everything needs to be made overseas, except for food and treats. And that's because imported foods and treats led to some deaths in the pet industry. And so everybody's like, I will only buy
Sadly
American
that.
made treat items.
Mhm.
So I started looking at that and saying, well, I don't understand why an injection molded rubber toy needs to be made in Asia.
Right.
Once you have once you have the mold, it's a somewhat automated process. You're amortizing that labor across many, many parts because the machine is running in a more automated way. So so when I started this business, I started by figuring out what it is that consumers wanted, right? So the whole model was to say, what if we actually give customers what they want and ask them and find out? And so what people want are products that are safe. They want American made and they want high quality. And
Mhm.
particularly in the category of chew toys where we started our business, these are things that dogs put in their mouth. And so
Mhm.
pet parents want to be sure that it's safe to be in their mouth. And
Yeah.
so, we use exclusively FDA compliant materials. Most of our products are overbuilt compared to competing products. So they're more durable, less choking hazard, less opportunity for
Yeah.
destruction, things like that. And honestly, I just think it's the right thing to do. During the pandemic, we had no disruption to our business. We were still able to get product. And so it just kind of reaffirmed the decisions I made early on in the business because that's American made is a pillar of our brand. It's not just something we do when we can. It's the only thing we do. There's other brands out there that I won't name that they really promote that this product is made in the USA or whatever, but they're not doing it across the board. In fact, most of their products are not made in the USA. So to boast about a handful of SKUs being made in the USA when 95% of your stuff is made in Asia it's disingenuous. For us, everything's made in the US. So, because I think it's the right thing to do and we have figured out a way to do it. Yeah. I mean, it's a difficult conversation because I actually believe that we live in a global economy, and the more
Mhm.
that we are tied to other nations economically, the less likely there's going to be conflict because we rely on each other.
Yeah.
So I certainly understand the arguments for sourcing in other countries, and I don't disagree with it. And there may come a time when my European business is so big that it makes sense to produce some of those things on the European continent
Mhm.
because transportation costs are so huge. So there are strong
Yeah.
arguments for a global economy. On the other hand, as you said, we became very unbalanced. And like I said, it felt to me in the pet industry that the default position was we need to make it overseas. And I just don't
Yeah.
agree with that underlying premise. I think some things need to be made overseas. Or I believe that some things are very difficult to make in the US. A plush toy, for example, little
Mhm.
stuffed animal of your dog. That's hard to make in the US and being competitive with
Mhm.
overseas manufacturing. That's a tough
Yeah.
category. But so the things that we make, I mean, it's not a surprise because American manufacturing is a pillar for us, like a non-negotiable. And therefore, almost everything we offer is an injection molded product,
Mm.
only producing the things that we can actually make in the US. So I've made a decision not to extend into categories that I can't produce in the US. So, for
Mhm.
instance, if I produce plush toys, I think I could do a great plush toy business. We could make really fun designs. I think we could be really successful at that, except that I don't want to produce overseas. So,
Right.
so I've chosen not to get into that category.